Welcome to the whitest house. Slave souls haunt the halls when the light is out. They suck the blood of the poor and the wipe their mouth. The last gasp of a world that is dying out. Welcome to the whitest house, where every room is a tomb that they lie about. Where you can put your filthy feet on the finest couch, and for the right amount, you can even buy it out.
The essence of your entire political identity. You might be a white supremacist.
We got like to get a new song and like a new little bump when we do the This Week in Black Excellence. You know what I'm saying? We needed kind of a new, you know what I mean? We need some like celebratory. Yeah, we still celebrating. What's up? It's This Week in Black Excellence this week. You know what I'm saying? I'm Jasiri X, co-founder and CEO of One Hood Media. Big One Hood energy. Ain't that going on, Trouble? We got a big One Hood energy in the building. Come on, brother.
Big One Hood energy in the building. You feel me? Yes. Well, this is chipper energy, but big One Hood shit.
100%. 100%. Twins, what's going on down with y'all? Oh, what's this? The what? The country and the country and the culture. Look at y'all.
Okay.
Look at y'all getting fancy.
You know, from the girl from the Red Clay, you know, when
the man from the Great White North.
That sounds racist.
I mean, that's what it's called.
It does.
It just
definitely. It does.
The Kodiak. What do you want me to say?
I mean, you know. Well, didn't you say it was the most diverse city in the world or something like that? That
the most
makes it sound a little more cosmopolitan. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot. We're gonna get to the country, Miracle. So we're gonna need your help. After we done talking about this Black excellence, we got a lot of country stuff to talk about.
This is still the Mississippi of the North, so I don't know what we're talking about.
Actually, Miracle.
With a black mayor.
We have a black mayor now, Miracle. Okay, not only a black mayor, Miracle, but we have 3 black women judges now. We got the first black woman magistrate. You know what I'm saying? Like, Miracle, we out here. But I mean, so, you know, we kind of in celebratory mode. For those that don't know, we're based in Pittsburgh. And, you know, yesterday we elected our first black mayor in Pittsburgh's history. Shout out to Ed Gainey. You know, we was at the party last night. You know what I'm saying? We was like, we was masked up. We doing it responsibly, but, you know, it was an open bar, and I seen people kind of getting their swerve on. You know what I'm saying? So just initial reactions. I'll start with you, Trouble. Initial reactions, man, when it became official that Ed Gainey, now, you know, you have a black mayor, man. How did it make you feel?
It's like, yes, it feels like a win. I'm not going to lie. It does feel like a win to have a black mayor. Yes. But like, now it's like, okay, my immediate second thought was like, all right, now we can get to work. You feel me? Now I feel confident that like when we start the work will actually be done, and someone is actually there to hear what it is that we have to say and to help us as a community do the work together, because it's not all on just one dude. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
The mayor's not going to fix every problem with Pittsburgh. It takes all of us. But now we finally got a mayor who has listened to us and is willing to listen to us, you know? And
I think that's a great point. And he made that, you know, at his speech yesterday, he actually made that point. Again, he was like, yo, if one man says he can change everything, he's lying. It's not going to take one man. And so I agree with that. We can't put, you know, a lot of times, man, black person get in office and we put these expectations on them that are far beyond. It's like he's a person, he's a politician. But like you said, he is somebody that has the lived experience of being black in Pittsburgh. I'm sure he's been profiled. I'm sure he's been discriminated against. He comes in poverty. I thought one of the most powerful moments was his speech last night when he talked about his mom. He talked about growing up in a single parent household to a teen mom, I believe. And I just felt like that narrative was really positive. How he told it. He was preaching last night. You know what I'm saying? He got his preach on. Twins, country, culture. How do y'all feel about this moment?
I have some experience. I have a city in Sim City that has about 2.5 million residents that I've been governing for the past 6 years.
This dude says Sim City.
I'm dead ass. Like, it's great. Like, I collect my, taxes for my people.
It's
I got
a utopia.
approval rating.
It's a utopia.
It is.
Utopian society.
Yeah, I have cold fusion in my. That's how good my city is. I have cold fusion.
So, how do you feel about Pittsburgh?
Oh, Pittsburgh. You're not talking
Pittsburgh.
about. Oh, okay.
No, I'm not talking about the Sims.
And you wonder why the intro went like it did.
So I'm gonna keep it all the way tall. I think it's cool. We have like ceremoniously the first black mayor in Pittsburgh, 256-year history. I like that. I was about to suggest that you do that too. Thank you, John. That's we right here, bro. But I'm a little. It's whack the fact that us as black people, we have to still celebrate our firsts. And for me, that kind of overshadows the moment because it's indicative of Pittsburgh's lineage of racism. And as Miracle pointed out at the beginning of the show, this is still the Mississippi of the North. This doesn't alleviate Pittsburgh of racism. There's no indemnification of electing a black mayor that you're distancing yourself from. The first fraternal order of police that has seen, extreme violence and inhumane treatment of black people here. The Allegheny County Jail, which has violated numerous human rights over the however many decades it has been in existence. So we still have those systemic issues that exist with or without the first black mayor of Pittsburgh. I like Ed. And I'm gonna say, Ed, I still need my parking tickets taken care of, bro. We talked about that. I'm not lying. We talked about that over the summer in July at Hotline Green. I forget about that.
Brother, you can pay your parking tickets, but sell some of them.
Sell
some of them ugly ass Yeezys. Sell some of them ugly ass Yeezys, and then you can get your.
Oh my God,
it's wearable art, bro. You ain't supposed to understand everything. Man.
I was so embarrassed when you posted that picture.
Why are you embarrassed on my shit?
Because
why are you embarrassed for your attitude?
Because you're
her twin. You are her twin, bro.
Don't take your hanger out on me.
I was embarrassed.
Hold on. I want to come to the.
Why are you hangry, Miracle? You want me
explain to the people I'm hangry?
Because Miracle don't know no better.
Because I was waiting for him to make a food decision because he knew what he wanted to eat, and now I am hungry.
Do we share stomachs?
First of all,
I'm sorry.
don't hurt me.
So here we go, Miracle. I'm coming to you, Miracle.
We're gonna
a couple of things. A couple of the things that I heard last night. I heard two different people say. I heard somebody say, "Yo, this feels like Atlanta." I heard some. I'm sorry. I heard somebody say it feels like Baltimore.
Now, y'all gotta stop lying.
I'm just saying, it felt the vibe last night. It felt different. It was a lot of black excellence in the building. It was a lot of like celebratory.
Black people are lit wherever we go.
Right.
Black people are lit.
I'm sorry, Woogie said.
Black people are lit in real life.
Oh my God. I have to pull this comment up. He said your Yeezys look like uncooked, unseasoned tilapia. All right. So
I don't take advice from people who can't dress better than me. You can't critique.
Miracle. How do you feel? I saw a great picture of you in the Courier. You had your pearly whites out. Oh yeah, you about to be in the Courier, Miracle. So how do you feel in this moment, and where do we go from here?
I do actually love this city. I do love Pittsburgh. I do love the black people here. I love all the organizers, who are out here trying to change. I think last night really was a moment of celebration. I love most people, two right now on the show. I don't know about the third one, but I really see the potential that people really have. And last night, what was the fruit of that labor? And I know you had a tweet that you posted that really is about what's happening, because I think a lot of people don't understand the issue that's been happening behind the scenes, right? And I think that the last night was like a celebration, but it should have never got to where it was. A lot of people didn't know if anybody was going to win last night. Let's be clear. A lot of people expected a Republican wave to take over the city of Pittsburgh last night. And nobody has been willing to say that. And part of it is because the establishment that we had here locally was not doing the work, was not supporting, was not engaging, was not doing outreach. And a lot of us were like, okay, well, what is the next 3 to 4 years look like with a conservative government that we've never had really before, and how have we been engaging our conservative neighbors. So we have to be like very mindful that I would love for Pittsburgh to feel like a chocolate city. I would love for Pittsburgh, for Black and brown people to be thriving here in Pittsburgh and know just with one election everything is going to magically change, right? But we still have to prepare ourselves for this upcoming white lash. We have to figure out, what is our safety plans going to be? How are people going to respond? And how are people going to stop this administration from making the changes that it wants to make?
May I ask a question for you?
Go ahead.
Jasiri and I were talking about this, and this is a question I posed to him. What are we looking at?
Wait. Before you get into that, because that's a great question, and I want to just pause that question.
Well, it was going to be something else. It wasn't going to be that question. It was going to be something else.
Okay, well, go ahead, then, my brother.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, in respect to like white lash, what are we going to see from these police now?
That remains to be seen, right? It could be a bunch of people resigning. It could be people going on strike. It could be even an increase in police violence because of frustration and anger with the perception of things changing. Again, the policing contract has already been signed. The policing budget has already been signed. So there is already, they already have their money for the next year. And so what we're really going to see is how people are going to try to obstruct changes. I hope, I feel like Gainey has gone out of his way to talk about, building a better city where all of us are together, where all of us are coming together to do the work. So I do hope that these folks who have done harm in the past try to start to re-examine their past actions and try to join us in this new world where all of us have our needs and resources met. I don't foresee it happening, but I hope that more people jump on board and get involved.
No, I'm glad you said it, but I did want to, because you had brought up that point, and I had put a tweet out about what I saw and what we saw, and we had a show, we do another show called What Black Pittsburgh Needs to Know. And we kind of talked about what we saw was this overall lack of support from the established Democratic community for Ed Gainey. You know what I'm saying? We didn't see, our current mayor who tweets about everything. I mean, this dude tweets all night long.
Except for issues that matter.
Not one tweet saying, hey, vote for Ed Gainey or vote for this progressive slate of judges. You know what I'm saying? And so I put, I think it's important to note that last night's victory of Pittsburgh, of our first Black mayor and 3 Black women judges, were led almost entirely by grassroots organization and came with virtually no support from established Democrats. I didn't see Rich Fitzgerald tweeting nothing out, putting nothing out in support. None of these people, these are our most, when you talk about our Allegheny County exec, our current mayor, these are the biggest, most well-known people. In fact, you had to get, Josh Shapiro, who's in Philadelphia, kind of coming in and putting Ed in the commercial. So it was weird to see he wins the Democratic primary. And the ideal is, it might have been contentious, but whoever wins the Democratic primary, you expect the Democratic Party to coalesce around that person. We did not see them coalesce around Ed Gainey. We did not see them coalesce around this progressive slate of judges that all ended up winning. It was fascinating to see the 4 Black candidates receive the most votes out of all the judicial candidates. That was fascinating to see. We didn't even see him, shout out to them. Shout out to Leo Williams Duncan. What's the other brother's name that was magistrate? Mr.
Wright.
Dwayne, was it
Mr.
Dwayne?
Wright?
Yeah.
No. Don't give him any Black name, brother. I want to say it's Jeremiah, but and then you had I think Xander, the first non-binary magistrate. So we had all these victories, and you had Dr. Tracy Reed and the other brother from Black Women for Better Education take 2 board seats. All this was entirely grassroots led. And so on one hand, it is kind of weird to say, but I mean, I guess it's Pittsburgh, right? When Black people come up and show Black excellence, a lot of times white power, although they talk equality, although they talk like, oh yeah, we want everybody to be on equal basis, they don't, even though they have the power to make change, they don't make any changes, to go to Treble's first point, right? But they also can't take credit for these victories. And that's why, I got my big one hood, had this big one hood energy, right? You can't take credit for this. It was grassroots organizations like ours, like Straight Ahead, like APA's PAC, like Black Women for Better Education, like 1PA. It was these organizations kind of coming together and really pushing this thing forward. And organizations like Unite, you know what I'm saying? Like, those are the ones that really had it done. And then we had, Morgan on our show, the young Democrats of Allegheny County. Those are the folks that really got the work done. And so I think that's a point that has to be said. And to me, what this shows is a shifting of power. Like, ultimately, it was like the established Democrats, when Peduto lost, they took their ball and went home. But we didn't need you. We didn't need your ball. We didn't need your bat. We didn't need none of that. We were able to accomplish this on our own. And guess what? We got more work to do. So that's kind of my feeling on that. Anybody, you have anything else to say, Trouble or Miracle?
Yeah, and I think a part of it is that a lot of the money in Pennsylvania is really going to these white male candidates for 2022, right? We had an opportunity to really change the Supreme Court, all the superior courts, the Court of Common Pleas. Right. And again, it was these establishment folks who really did not believe in investing, supporting these women candidates because they said they were too progressive and they were changing things. We offered support. We offered to help people do turnout, and we were told we were too radical, right? People didn't want to hire us. People didn't want to consult with us. And so we had to do our own thing to push. And yes, we mobilized voters. We hit all of our, internal metrics for our turnout. But it's like rural Pennsylvania, middle Pennsylvania, the Philadelphia area. This idea that you feel like you do not have to engage the Black voting bloc, that you do not have to give them something to vote for, that you just expect Black people to mule for you. Those days are over. You have to knock on those doors. You have to make those phone calls. You have to, and it can't just be the Black organizations. Our community loves us and rides hard for us. But we cannot be the only people who know the value of our communities and these larger establishment organizations. I know we're going to talk about Virginia later, but I've been talking to folks. The Dems were not out in Black and brown neighborhoods giving people something to vote for, weren't knocking on doors, weren't doing bus tours, weren't talking about policies that matter to folks, while these white supremacists are really literally going door to door and rallying the troops and talking about, Black people are wanting all of this stuff, using dog whistles and the Southern strategy, and it's very problematic. And so what we are literally seeing is Black people, again, unable to rest, unable to focus on the things that they want to focus on, having to save democracy because we have no other options and resources. And that's what the votings are showing. You have people all across America, Black and brown candidates, pushing something, giving these centrist moderates messaging that they refuse to adopt. And this is why we're in this situation again. Give something people to vote for and they will vote.
Well, I think let's get into that, because I think one of the things that happened here, and you had, sent it in our group chat, that they expected 20% turnout, but it was 30% turnout, right? Kahari sent this is one of those off years. It's not a big national race. And normally they expect the amount of voters to go down. In the last 2 years that we were engaged, in 2019 and in 2021, that actually went up. And it was, but I think one of the reasons people were engaged in Pittsburgh and Allegheny County is because there were candidates that looked like us. They were we had inspiring folks to work with. I was talking about, it was a guy, this is a, an older white guy. He's well off. He was talking about, he went and got signatures for Tiffany Sizemore for judge because he was so inspired by her candidate. He was like, I'd never done that before. I saw Tiffany running. And so we had those type of candidates. We had that turnout. In Virginia, like you said, same old reheated white guy. He's one of these middle of the road Democrat guys that he's not, not inspiring to us, not talking to us, not advancing our issues as a community. Like you said, not showing up in these places and you talk about Virginia, it's a lot of Black places you can go. and vote on. And so then the black community is not inspired to come out, and then you lose, and then you want to turn around and blame progressives or whatever. And so for those that don't know, Virginia had a governor's race. It was a, middle of the road, regular white guy who knows Terry something. We don't know. We don't care. You'll probably never see this dude again. But he was going against one of these Trump guys. And basically all they did was talk about critical race theory. They're going to come in and teach your children, and it kind of worked. And one of the things that they talked about was the biggest difference in who voted for Biden, but who voted for this white guy, Youngkin, was white women. That it was a 15-point swing of white women that had voted for Biden, that then switched and voted for this Republican candidate. I guess the fear that their children will be taught critical race theory. What are y'all thoughts on, kind of like white supremacy on both sides really losing the governor's race in Virginia?
What's that?
White lash. Right. The situation in Virginia, I wish I could say that it's endemic to just the South, but what critical race theory has done is successfully polarized, giving people a reason to hearken to the polls and have a viable villain now. You got Candace Owens speaking out against critical race theory. You got what was it? Condoleezza Rice speaking out against critical race theory.
Yeah.
You have
Mike
Pence, right? So you have in a lot of black people in the Republican Party, Herschel Walker and all these other people that are coming out like, well, black people don't like it, so it gotta be bad. If our favorite black people don't like critical race theory, maybe we need to band against it. The thing is, it's like, that video that went out where that white man couldn't explain critical race theory. These are the same people who are against segregation, desegregating schools. These are the same people who, boycotted black people taking the bus and drinking out of the same water fountains. Like, these are some of the lowest achieving and lowest value human beings on the planet that have galvanized and allowed themselves to really like it. The thing is this shows exactly what happens when you vote with a cause, right? This is proof positive of what happens when you vote with a cause. Like, they've identified something they're speaking out against, and they've elected someone based off something they don't understand. That they can't explain.
Let me pull up this video, and then I'm gonna come to you, Treble. This is the video where a man was asked, "What's the most important fact, I guess, or issue in the Virginia?" And this is how he responded.
But struggles a little bit in explaining what it is.
What's the most important issue in the governor's race here in Virginia?
Getting back to the basics of teaching children, not teaching them critical race theory.
And what is critical race theory?
Well, I'm not going to get into the specifics of it because I don't understand it that much, but it's something that I don't, what little bit that I know, I don't care for.
And what have you heard that you don't?
Well, I'm not going to, I don't have that much knowledge on it, but it's something that I don't care for.
Can we just talk about how, for some reason,
what are you serving? World War II?
We have allowed white men to basically commercialize being a bumbling idiot to basically cover up their anti-blackness and racism. We're all like, oh my God, he doesn't know about critical race theory. He doesn't have to know. All he has to know is about black people, and he doesn't like it. We did the same thing with Trump. We did the same thing with the guy who was running England. We always allow these folks to say they're stupid. They're stupid. They're ignorant. They're uneducated. They don't know anything. And then we allow them to destroy black and brown people's lives. And it's like, oh my God, how could an idiot do so? They don't care because they just know if it's a black and brown person benefiting from it, they don't like it. You look at Virginia. Virginia is a really economically, educationally, a really good state, right? There has been working class jobs, union class jobs. They are not this walking caricature of people who don't know better. You look at the rally; those people had on suits that were hundreds and thousands of dollars. Not a hair was out of place. These are well-to-do people. He was I think a billionaire running this campaign because they do not want to learn about Black people being equitable to them. And it's really heartbreaking because Lieutenant Governor is herself a Republican Black woman who took on this mantle about critical race theory being wrong. And so we also have to talk about, again, how liberation does not come through representation.
Come on.
Just because people have a diverse multicultural group doesn't mean they have the same political ideology of Black liberation and Black equity and Black justice. So it's very important, because what I fear, when we're really starting to see this, is you're going to see as we saw with Caitlyn Jenner, transphobic, had transphobic, racist, xenophobic, content. Even though she was a trans woman, you have a lot of, especially in Texas, like Senator Cruz, and Senator Marco Rubio, even though they're of Hispanic, Latinx descent, they are still talking about critical race theory. They're talking about entitlements. They're using all of this coded language. So this idea that we just need more diverse people, that's not true. We need people with a certain politic toward liberation and equity running for office, or we're going to keep seeing what happened. And lastly, I will say, Rep. Gainey talked about defunding the police, talked about investing, talked about gentrification, talked about affordability, had a message, and won, and increased voter turnout while winning. So this idea that progressive ideology doesn't win races is a lie. And when you fight for Black and brown people, when you fight for working class people, when you go door to door and you sit there and include them at your table from the beginning, you will win. And so we need more people to run for these seats and to be unapologetic with their values. Gainey never said he was abolitionist, right? He never said all that stuff. He said he believed in reform, and these were his stances. And he marched with folks. He had, meetings with folks. And so for even people who were even more progressive to the left than he was still was able to bring them into his campaign because 100%. He understood where they were coming from. And so for Biden and all these other people saying, I just can't work with the left, we call bullshit. Like we do, because you have this plan, you can do it, you just don't want to.
You just don't want to. Come on.
You still owe me food though.
So
Trouble, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I want to come to Trouble, and then I kind of have a take, and I want to get your take on this take. Go, Trouble.
So I've been over here analyzing the characteristics of white supremacy, right? And really trying to break down how it affects all of us, especially the groups of people that they target. And what we're seeing is how characteristics of white supremacy separate people from their communities, right? Separate people sometimes from themselves, because you start playing these identity politics, and all of a sudden you're slipping into this either or binary way of thinking, right? Where people are thinking, because we're discussing critical race theory, that we are demonizing the white race completely, right? That we are saying white people are wrong. They should feel guilty. They should feel this. They should feel that. Then you have people who don't even know what critical race theory is, demonizing it, making people afraid, fear-mongering, right? And I'm just, throwing out characteristics. And then we also see this denial and defensiveness technique, right? Where it's I don't agree with what they're saying about critical race theory. They get defensive and they get up in arms about it. And then another thing we see is this right to comfort and fear of conflict. Because I find the reason they get defensive is because if they really sat and confronted critical race theory, they'd have to sit and confront the ways in which they are perpetuating this white supremacist culture that is excluding people. And we see it, we feel it, because when you talk about people's issues, you're distant from it. You know what I'm saying? You don't actually genuinely care about the people, and that's why we need to have these conversations.
100%. And it's like, but so that's I mean, that's real. I mean, that's some real talk. I mean, you don't want to learn, like if you don't learn about us, then you don't have to care. Like it's almost like, well, if I know, then now I'm responsible for the knowledge and information that I have, and then I'm responsible to act on it. But if I don't know, I complete ignorant. I didn't know that. I didn't learn that. I didn't know that. And that's kind of one of the things that's been happening. But so, here's one of the things that I'm gonna go back. This was, our sister, Dr. Cheryl Hall Russell, and she says you have to give Republicans some credit. They understand their base and how to scare the crap out of them, sending them running to the polls. And I find it fascinating that this race in Virginia came down to like schools, right? Here were white people that were looking and saying, okay, because what they were saying, critical race theory, if like white people are saying basically, if they learn the real history of America, the real history of their ancestors, the real history of how this country came about, then it will make them feel bad. And it will make them feel bad to be white. It was some story somebody told that was like, my 6-year-old came home and said, oh, am I evil? You know what I'm saying? Because of what they learned in school. And this is why critical race theory is so bad. But it's also look at how white folks like think about the education that our children get. Tell me, give me one. Each one of us, we went to school and felt bad, didn't we?
Oh
We went
yes.
to school, and at some point in that education, we felt bad. Our history wasn't taught, or we were taught our history. But it's like can we, or is it our responsibility to mobilize? You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, do you have to give them some credit? Like Dr. Cheryl Hall Russell was saying, yeah, Miracle, come on, like get the Miracle there.
So real quick, you just made me.
Let me finish my whole question, because they're looking and saying this critical race theory is going to harm my child. It's going to make my child feel bad. And I can't name a black student that did not go to a school in the United States that at some point did not feel bad. Is it up to us to begin to organize or develop our own schools?
You know what it sounds like you saying?
Don't do it.
Come on, brother. Come on.
Do not.
Bring it on.
No.
He don't sound so crazy now, does he?
Do
not.
He don't sound so crazy now, does he?
First of all, there are multiple black organizations. We will not give that. No.
Dr. Umar don't sound so crazy now, does he?
You talking about Dr. Umar?
Please.
And his invisible school. The school got to exist, Farouk. Come on now. All right,
so I want to make a quick point. I want to make a quick.
Right
He's
now.
wild and
Co-op.
Okay.
Co-op.
Go ahead, Trouble. You got
So,
a point, and then I'll bring it to Miracle.
I think
was like, wait
so.
a minute.
I want to point out the irony in the fact that, like, when we avoid conversations about critical race theory, we also avoid the ways in which white supremacy has separated both of us from our cultures. They call us black. They call them white. And America is the only place where we're categorized as black and white. You leave and go other places, and they're from this country, from this continent, from this land. You know what I'm saying? They identify with their ethnicity. So it's like, I feel like, if you as a white person feel bad about critical race theory, that's useful. You can use that, because it's like you have been negatively affected by this system as well. We're not the only ones. It targets all of us, because with that loss of identity, now they can sell it to you. Now they can tell you exactly what to think, exactly what to do.
Absolutely. So I want to come to Miracle, and then I'll come to you, Farouk. Miracle, you were talking about black organizations?
No. Well, I just don't understand why we keep saying I love Dr. Russell, but like, think about, when you think of racism, what do you think about? You think about a burning cross. You think about, white robes. White supremacists have ran the gamut on marketing racism and white supremacy. True. Critical race theory, stranger danger, yellow,
illegal aliens, like
all type. They have
great racist term.
been able to do marketing. If you think about, they used to call it at the very beginning, I know we don't say it anymore, like yellow journalism. They were always talking about, and you look at the, the 1910s, the 1930s and 40s, how they would characterize and depict Black and brown folks, how when the railroad was big, how they were depicting Chinese immigrants and migrants. They have always been able to use arts and marketing to put out a message. The problem is
a fear,
we have people in media who are like, critical race theory. Let me tell you about the new boogeyman that's coming to steal your white child. And they will run it Monday at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. And then won't
investigate it.
The one Black organization is like, hey, that's not what it is. They're like, oh, this radical Black organization, they're the ones telling you that critical race theory is good. I went to law school and I had to sit there and have my colleagues argue about whether or not slavery should be legal. I had people argue about whether or not Black people are actually human beings or property. You talk about critical race theory, we go through it when we learn about all this stuff. I have to look at, books and textbooks that anytime talks about Black people is some type of negative depiction. Caucasian folks do not go through that. They fear being treated like a minority because of the way they treated us. And that is why they're out here running up and running these politicians. They don't care about critical race theory. And 2 years it's going to be something else. It's going to be another person, but all they know is going to give Black people power, and it's going to give Black people, an ability to be seen as human. And that's what they're fighting against. At the end of the day, nobody gets upset when we have the Italian festival or the Irish festival or the pierogi festival. Nobody cares about that stuff, right? But lo and behold, you want to have Juneteenth, people lose their minds, right? Lo and behold, you want to have talk about like Martin Luther King.
Why we gotta have Black History Month? Like,
right? Right now, it's Indigenous, Native American History Month. Nobody's complaining or boycotting about that, right? All these other months people have, nobody complains. The moment you put Black on it, everybody loses their minds, and that is the problem. And so we're always going to keep, like Trevor was saying, until people understand how white supremacy harms white people and keeps us apart and keeps us from living in harmony. We're going to keep having these struggles, and that's why I think, again, when Gainey was like, you can't leave here until you make new friends, say hi to some folks, meet people from different neighborhoods. That's what it's going to take. And that's, even though we laughed at his, community with a capital U, that's what we have to do. We have to be uncomfortable and go to different neighborhoods and sit down and have these conversations and write these policies together. Or else we're going to have these same cycles continuing. And I think
No, I mean, you said pretty much what I was going to say. I mean,
go ahead, Fruit.
No, I mean, there was a few more inner workings that I was going to tie into it, but the fact of the matter remains that like education was very much created as a white privilege tool, right? Brown versus Board of Education was basically the CRT of our parents' generation, and the idea of like this browning of America is scaring the shit out of white people. They feel like they're losing the grip on the monopolization of education and the representation of whiteness being this superiority that's taught in the education system, and all this representation, strips away power from them. So they're going to do whatever they can. Like if you think back to, right after 9/11, when France didn't want to get into bed with the United States of America initially on the war on terror, the American schools stripped French from French fries. They weren't allowed to teach French as
freedom fries.
Freedom fries. Yeah, it's freedom fries. Yeah. You weren't allowed to teach French as an elective at that time, right? Yeah. And so American school districts in the education system will weaponize other in any way that they can. And right now, and this is the way that it's taught, is there's this us and them dichotomy that's literally introduced in the kindergarten, right?
Yeah, I mean,
in them part of your training as an educator. It's literally called the us and them dichotomy. So this is what Trevor was just saying, what Miracle was just saying, what you just saying, like, this is the education system really protecting itself against progression.
And what's wild is we have, a number of stories about how this is playing out in actual schools, right? Last week we had the math teacher who just went on a 5-minute in Indigenous Peoples Month, let's mockery of Indigenous people. This week we had, you had mentioned people's fear of the word Black, Miracle. There was a young child in Oklahoma who wore a shirt that said Black King on it. And his teacher, he's in 7th grade. His 7th grade teacher basically told him that his shirt was racist because she would get in trouble if she had a shirt that said White King or if she called it some White History Month. So again,
this is why we need White History Month.
Right. So again, like you said, here's just a 7th grade kid. As this critical race theory conversation is playing out, it's actually happening in schools where a Black kid goes to school with a shirt that says Black King, and then is told that his shirt is racist because she would get in trouble if she had a White King or a White Queen shirt on, and kind of that dichotomy. Just comments on that. But she's on paid leave now.
Fire her. Fire for that. Like, fire for all of that. But Liv Bennett said something great when we had her on the symposium that I hosted about critical race theory. And what she proposed that she did at the Allegheny County Council in her her elected appointed role was replace critical race theory with culturally responsive teaching. Right? And then now you can really see the antagonism about it is rooted in racism and in the unwillingness to accept that you're racist. If you call it culturally responsive teaching, well, then now you have to look at it like, well, why are you against culturally responsive teaching? Is it because you're a racist? Is that why?
Yes.
That's why. Exactly why. That's the entire argument. Full stop. You are a racist, right? Yes. And the thing is, it's like, fuck it. Call a spade a spade. We have to normalize the fact that we have to accept that there are nothing but racists in charge of the education system, the school board, the parents, right? These are things that, like, these dogmas, right, are dying with some of these old people that still are around, these relics, these human relics from an era where it was normal to dehumanize Black people. And now it's no longer acceptable to do that. And you cannot, and they're struggling with convincing their grandchildren that that's an okay way of life. So they're
I would say it is kind of acceptable. I mean, just like you said, this teacher told this student that white people needed a White History Month, that his shirt was racist, and then the school's comment, it says, if it is determined that the student was a target of discrimination, bullying, or racism, appropriate and swift action will be taken. What do you mean if?
Yeah, they're not even believing the student.
If he wears a Black King shirt and then the teacher says, your shirt's racist and we need a White History Month, I mean, clearly he's the target, you know what I'm saying? And so, like, to me, it does seem like, I mean, there was another case where white students waved a Confederate flag and hurled racial slurs at Black students. They were not met with any consequences. This is in that red clay part. And when the Black students responded, the Black students were actually suspended for planning to protest the groups that waved Confederate flags. So, I mean, it's seeming like, just like you said, that old same, song is being played out. Miracle?
I mean, I know it's been a week, but I do recall last week talking about how local principals are calling people the N-word. And I do remember a few weeks ago, we talked about people dressing up in blackface as a marching band. So what we're not going to do is put like the South is the only person, that has a white issue in education. What we're not going to do. But what I will say, yes, they had Farm Day. They were out there with their Confederate flags and using racial slurs. And instead of saying, you know what, I don't support critical race theory, but I understand in our school, I see the issue that y'all are talking about safety and how some people may not like Black and brown folks. They instead called the cops, had the cops tell Black parents and Black students that they were suspended, not for fighting back, not for using racial slurs, not for cussing people out, but for organizing a counter protest. And not only did they use the police to do that, they only used the police to tell the black people they were suspended because the white and Hispanic kids had nothing happen to them, who were also planning to counter protest as allies. And these kids missed homecoming and all type of stuff. So when we're talking about actual issues about critical race theory, this is what we're talking about, despite the fact that critical race theory is only taught in grad level courses because it's a complex social legal theory that you have to at least have some knowledge and understanding of the law, sociology, and the psychosocialization. So unfortunately, your kindergartners, your middle schoolers, your high schoolers do not learn about critical race theory unless they're on an elevated, accelerated path. But what we have seen, you talk about cultural responsive training. If you look at Texas, and I've heard the other state, they said culturally responsive, community, anything culturally, anything with black and white, anything with power, privilege, oppression, anything about slavery, couldn't teach.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not about critical race theory. It's about anything to do with equity and equality. Imagine writing a letter and saying, I need to know if you teach about equity and equality and justice.
Right.
But I think it goes.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what we're seeing, right? And I want to come to you, Trouble, because you had touched on this, right? It's like it's okay to make these black students feel bad, right? It's okay to criticize this black child who gets a shirt on his birthday that says Black King and wears it to school, right? It's okay to call the police on black students because they don't want to be called racial slurs and have a Confederate flag waved at them. So it's okay that black students can be made to feel bad. But if we just say, hey, let's talk about like the murder of indigenous people, the genocide of them, and the fact that Africans weren't so, whoa. I don't want my white child to feel bad. Is this where we're at, Trouble?
Man, it really feels like they're trying to clear the way to get America back to how it used to be, right? They're taking certain things out of the education so that the new generation is ignorant to it. They're banning certain parts of their history, what they did to multiple groups of people. We can't even talk about it, right? And it almost makes me feel as though it's like they're kind of just like trying to keep it on the hush. I don't even know, man. I got a lot of thoughts and feelings going on right now.
It's wild. No,
yeah,
and it's honest, you know what I'm saying? Because like you said, it's like it's clear that, and I think it goes back to what Miracle said, right? It's clear that we're seeing this shift, right? And you touched on it too, Farouk, that we're seeing this shift, and you have a group of white people that's like, no, we don't want no shift. We don't want Black lives to matter. We don't want Black history to be taught. Like, no. We want it to be the same as we were. We want to be able to be racist and white and just be left alone in our whiteness and our racism, in our homophobia, in our transphobia, in our demeaning of women. That's how we were, and that's what we kind of want to continue to do. And it seems like, and so like you said, like, and you touched on it, we have to kind of prepare ourselves in Pittsburgh, right? The fact that we have this great, a Black mayor now, the fact that we have these Black judges, that now white people here more than likely are going to begin to organize because they don't want to see a more progressive Pittsburgh. They want the Pittsburgh that it's always been because they were the ones that were the main beneficiary. As soon as other people start benefiting, now it gets crazy.
Man, that's
and
my question.
Also, when you tell people that like the history of the systems that affect our lives are flawed, they start to question it in a way that, threatens the existence of said systems. So I feel like they see how critical race theory could end up actually dismantling a lot of the systems that keep us in certain positions, and they don't want that. They don't want us questioning too much. They don't want us challenging too much. You know what I'm saying?
Start messing around and want some liberation. You can ask the question. I mean, it's a lot. We're not going to get to all the stuff that we want to get to. So why don't we wrap it up with the question that you wanted to ask, Farouk, and we'll kind of end with that discussion.
Does this make Pittsburgh less racist?
Why you always ask these dumb? You know what?
No, that's a valid question because there are people who are going to look at this.
Question. It's not like I have any stock in the question, but the fact of the matter remains is we're going to hear someone at some point.
Yes.
Say, you know what? You have a black mayor now.
You got a black mayor now.
You have all of the. They said it when Barack Obama was elected. They said, "Oh, you have a black president. We're post-racial." Some journalist was running with that. They put that everywhere, man. Post-racial was the brand of the Obama era, right? We are post-racial. We have a black president. So I'm asking the city of Pittsburgh, do you really believe in your heart of hearts that now Pittsburgh is stronger than hate because you've elected a black mayor, right? Let's keep in mind that Tony Moreno got 30% of the vote, right? He pulled in 30% of the vote. So does that mean only 30% of the voters are racist? Does that mean 30% of Pittsburgh is? I still believe 70% of you are racist.
Well, I mean, I think like you said, I mean, because people said that with Obama, right? Obama became president, and people, you know, it was almost like white people felt like, well, we voted for Obama.
Can't
like,
be racist.
what more?
That's
what
the whole
more
crux
do you
of the
want?
movie. That was the whole crux of the movie. Get Out.
Right.
I would have voted for Obama a third term.
Exactly. So did you want to touch on it? Miracle, you just too tired? No, we can just say no.
I mean, you're right. We have a black mayor that takes place in January, so automatically all those white supremacists, paramilitary, the organizations are no longer in Pittsburgh. All the black people in Allegheny County jail are free. All these black birthing people are no longer going to be dying at UPMC or these local hospitals. That, you know, now that we have a mayor, you know, all of a sudden affordability, so all these black people who are pushed out are now tomorrow going to come back in. No, racism is your personal belief and value set. You can never stop working to be anti-racist. We live in a system of white supremacy. Our cities, our counties, everything, the laws that we have put on. Do you have sidewalks in your neighborhood? Literally depends on whether or not you have a black neighborhood. How many times is the bus able to come to your neighborhood? Depends on whether or not you have a black or brown neighborhood. Do you even have a bridge or an overpass in your neighborhood or in your district? Literally,
do you have
do you have
a store? Do you have a store where you can get fresh food?
Do you have access to healthcare? Like, do you have an outpatient facility or inpatient facility in your neighborhood, right? Or do you have access to resources? Period. Right.
And just to touch on that, Miracle, I mean, we saw more information come out. We touched on it last week about a Pittsburgh police officer that said that joined the Oath Keepers, one of these white supremacist, racist organizations. And, you know, according to Rolling Stone, they said that the officer actually attached a note to his membership request, highlighting his experience as a firearms instructor and adding he would spread the word to his students. So, you know, I
know this officer.
Is he white?
Yes, I know him.
So I mean,
I'll tell you some shit afterwards.
Does he like black people?
No.
So to think about it, I mean, here's an officer who's training officers in firearm, who's openly saying, like, I'm gonna be recruiting other officers to join the Oath Keepers. You know, this white supremacist organization that stormed the Capitol inside the Pittsburgh police force. So as long as that's happening, you know, Mayor Gainey isn't going to change that reality, unfortunately.
That's what he said. It takes all of us. It's work. We get ideas. It's like, I don't know. I try to make stuff, you know, relevant, but it's like looking at a gunshot victim and being like, next door in 2 weeks they're going to build a hospital. Therefore, you're going to be okay because I support the hospital. That's going to come. And you know, it may be too late for you right now, but there's gonna be a hospital there. So you gunshot, you know, victim, you just stay there, right? And that's the problem. These are not quick fixes. You cannot undo stuff with one election, with one person. We all have to come together and do this work and work together. We are moving towards being less racist. We are moving towards being more united and more understanding. But we all have our own bigotry and biases, and we have to undergo this cycle of socialization and learn more and engage more. And so, that is, that's the thing. But so yeah, I'm gonna grab our book.
Trouble Farouk.
Yeah, I'll say it's to answer the question of is Pittsburgh less racist? No, because putting a black mayor into office doesn't erase the infrastructure that this city was built upon, the systems that this country was built upon, that purposely and intentionally exclude groups of people that aren't white or wealthy, right? Another point that I would like to make is that, like, look at all the work it took to educate people about the primaries, to get people out and prepared to vote. You know what I'm saying? We had to literally work against the system to get people the information they needed just to vote. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we still have so much work to do just based 100%. Off of that fact alone.
100%. Right. It's a step towards where we need to go, but it's dismantling systemic racism, institutional white supremacy is going to take more than a black face here and a black face there. We saw that with the Obama presidency. What happened? White lash. Here comes the Trump presidency. And so that's something that we have to continue to work through and organize against and make sure that not only, because you can have ideas, but is the council going to support him? Is are his ideas going to be able to be implemented? What happens when big money comes on the scene? Like, so kind of like what Trouble said, like, we got to continue working. Like, we went out last night, we celebrate, but we're aware that, like, we didn't win anything. The work doesn't stop. That we got to continue organizing. We got to continue making sure these policies are implemented. We got to continue working around what public safety really looks like when you black and brown, and looking at reimagining that. So we do got crazy work to do, and we're excited to continue to do that work, you know what I'm saying, as well. You have our white pages, Miracle?
Yes. So we're talking about Black excellence. Oh, I grabbed the wrong book. Hold on. Where is Brian? Oh, there it is.
Oh, yeah, he just got nominated or something, right?
Speaking of local Black excellence, shout out to Brian. He just won another literary award. I guess he's Pittsburgh's own or Ohio's own. I don't know how people claim him.
We claim him.
We've done this before, but please read Punch Me Up to Gods. It's a really great book. And we did this before, but since y'all want to ask if Pittsburgh is less racist, Angela Davis, freedom is a constant struggle. Read it, learn it. But then, we gotta learn from our elders, the people who've come before us, people who've been there. One of my favorite books, Our White Pages of the Week. Nothing is Personal by James Baldwin. Over the next few weeks, we got to plan for the future. We got to engage and advocate. So please, one of the fiercest, cultural political critics, James Baldwin, kind of gave us, a guide. So our book of the week, our white pages, is Nothing is Personal. But we've had, Punch Me Up and Freedom is a Constant Struggle before, so it's a refresher. But yes, this is our white.
Yes. What's our call to action? Is it just get some rest, maybe? Like self-care? What's our call to action?
Don't get too comfortable. You know what I'm saying? It's like, we have a black mayor, but there's still so much work to do. Treat it like Trump could get in office again. You know what I'm saying? Treat it like treat it like Mayor Peduto is still in office, ignoring what we are telling him is wrong with this city. You know what I'm saying?
And he is for the next 2 months. Out there. Yeah, he is technically, he's still in office for the next 2 months. He tweeted that it was going to be a peaceful transition process, whatever. But he can go and do whatever he wants to do, as a white dude who's had his success. So do your thing, Peduto. But he does have 2 more months to ignore us. and tweet about everything but real black issues.
Let's say except for things that matter. You know what I mean?
And lastly, I know I don't want to end on a negative note, but again, the family of Hill Jordan, It still has a GoFundMe out there. There's a local Pittsburgh musician. So, please support. Shout out to my Braves for winning the World Series. I'm not really a Braves fan. I'm from Georgia.
Large the Braves.
But
they definitely
we did. Wait. I think we have a video celebrating the Atlanta Braves. Did you want to pull that video up, John, celebrating the Atlanta Braves? I think we do have one on deck. And an Atlanta Braves celebratory video for you, Miracle.
Oh my gosh. I don't know.
Play that video, John.
I don't know what are you about to do. I don't know if I like this.
Play this.
No. The show is over. The show is over.
That's hilarious.
Everyone knows that the Trump is racist. I don't want to have this. This is not okay. First of all, that is not even a representative of. No, we're not doing this right now.
Well, I mean, the Braves,
I was trying to go about COVID and talk about people being outside again and to get tested because COVID numbers are going up. You know what?
Yes, please get tested. No, it's just, I mean, the tomahawk chop is racist. Like, shout out to the Braves. Please change your name. Indigenous folks want everybody's, Braves, Chiefs, all of them. The Indians did it. They're the Guardians or whatever. Anything's better. Like let indigenous people just be and live their lives. And please don't take a fake tomahawk and do a chop. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Indigenous Native American History Month.
And there's a question: did Trump do that just to be racist? Probably. Oh yeah, somebody said Hank Aaron. Right, Ada said Hank Aaron. Shout out to Hank Aaron. They definitely baked him up. He talked about somebody that went through a lot of racism and persevered. So shout out to Hank Aaron. Shout out to the Atlanta. We want you to change your name. No, we want you to stop disrespecting indigenous people. Yes, we're back outside, Miracle. We should get COVID tested. There's a whole conversation about, to me, how the NFL is treating, Aaron Rodgers not being. That's some other white supremacy.
Last week, I
maybe we can get into.
Kyrie, and y'all were like, "No Miracle."
God,
and
that is.
Yes.
No, you're right. You're right.
Lo and behold, this Caucasian.
It's wild. It's wild, and it's white supremacy.
Caucasian man was walking around unvaccinated, possibly impacting, his family, friends, fans, doing official meets and everything without a mask.
Doing Halloween parties. He was doing it all. And then come to find out, but we might get into that next week. It'd be so much. We really need to do two shows.
It's gonna be interesting watching that play out.
Because if you ain't going hard against Aaron like y'all were going hard against Kyrie, you might be a white supremacist.
I did, want to say, like, this story of this woman who was arrested before Rosa Parks, and that is still on probation to this day, is one of the most American and insane things I've ever heard. She was arrested for not giving up her seat in 1955, and she is still on probation for that crime. That is
the fact she hasn't been pardoned or anything is just mind-blowing.
Mind-blowing.
Like the fact that they kept that docket open in pretrial services for that long, and that means her probation officer has to know what she was. I mean, what did they break the segregation law? Like, what was that classified as at that time?
Probably just disturbing the peace or something.
It says she was arrested for Alabama's racial segregation laws. So she
so they'll see that on the docket.
Right. So although the law is gone, she is still on probation
for a law that doesn't exist.
Yeah. So it's just this is America. When you start to say, "Oh, America's not racist," the law. What'd you say?
What's going to be interesting to see is what that law became, because a lot of people say, "Oh, these laws no longer exist," but they really just rebranded them under something else. So, like, no colors allowed just turned into no loitering. Right. So it's going to be very interesting to see. You're welcome. What to see what that law became, because if that law is no longer on the books, she should not be on probation.
And she needs to get money. Like I saw that the victims
Claudette
of
Cody,
Claudette Cody. I saw the victims of the Dylan Roof shooting. Because Dylan Roof shouldn't have had a gun. They allowed this white man to have a gun. They got some type of settlement. This woman should get some type of settlement for this. This is madness. They need to come off some money for this woman that she has to be on probation for so long. So shout out to Claudette Colvin. We definitely stand with her and her family. And like you said, we stand with folks, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, do some self-care, you know, be mindful out here. Colvin's out here. You know, it's some other stuff out here. You know, check on your loved ones, check on the strong ones. You know what I'm saying? All that good stuff. And let's stay close as a family. Any last words?
Never lose sight.
Never lose sight. Twins.
This is my.
It actually looks really nice. I saw it. I was like, ooh.
Oh, that's your city? What's it called?
Leviton.
What's the name of your city? The
Leviton.
name of your city? Leviton.
Leviton, yes. It's quite. I've actually been working on this for almost 7 years.
That's your best
So
friend.
I guess if you play Sims 2, you can go and I don't know what you do. Do they sign up to be a part of your city? I don't know. Yeah, somebody say get Miracle some dinner. That's the call to action. Get Miracle some good.
I have 3 universities in my city. It's completely green. It's a green space, right? It's nothing but, you know what I mean?
So when you choose the place, the office that you want to run for, Farouk, we'll just put that in like mayor of Lebanon. What's your role's not mayor? What are you, the owner?
Yeah,
of
I'm
the city?
mayor.
What are you? Oh, mayor of Levington, this in Sims, and what?
And I have
you
100% approval rating. 100% approval rating.
Yes,
over 6 years. That means 2 terms.
I can't wait till your debate, man. When you talk about your background,
I introduced green energy and cold fusion. And I got 3 universities in my city.
Hey, so, Facebook will love to hear this. I mean, Meta. Sorry.
Oh, come on, brother. That's right. Oh my God. Zuckerberg gonna sign you up, man. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, man, I'll be the mayor of that too.
As long as he gets the space, that's all he cares about.
Yeah, as long as I get the space, that's all I need.
So tomorrow, 12 o'clock on Tilt, get your you know, your mental health. And somebody said, who is he debating with? He's gonna run for office, Cheryl, and he's gonna run based on his experience for the last 7 years building this invisible city in Sims. And what else is going on? Anything else happening this weekend?
There's a lot of events and stuff out and about,
really?
But there's just the people outside.
It's too cold to be outside. It's cold.
Winter is here, and it is anti-black.
I ain't even turned my heat on yet. My window's open at home, as a matter of fact.
Man, look, I'm thermaled up.
That's that Canadian shit, bro. You're
I
used
almost
to it.
said something inappropriate, but I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge my growth.
Thank you, Miracle.
So I know, no.
We will see you all. Miracle's gonna get something to eat. Oh, you got something else, Miracle?
But yes, Monday for the One Hit Power Hour, working on something very special for y'all. Please make sure you tune in.
I'm special.
You are very special. But please make sure you tune in Monday at 7 p.m. We have something planned for y'all.
All right, looking forward to it. So next Monday, 7 p.m. Power Hour. We will see y'all next Wednesday. Peace, love, one hood, y'all.
Go put your ones up.
My one's up.
Take one hood energy.
Slave souls haunt the halls when the light is out. They suck the blood of the poor and to wipe their mouth. The last gas of a world that is dying out. Welcome to the Whitest House, where every room is a tomb that they lie about. Where you can put your filthy feet on the finest couch, and for the right amount, you can even